Welcome to the Good Growing Podcast. I am Chris Enroth, horticulture educator with University of Illinois Extension, coming at you from Macomb, Illinois, and we have got a great show for you today. We are reprising the topic of the poinsettia. Yes, we had an in-depth show on this last year, but Ken and I took a little trip, and we want to share what we learned about that trip. And you know I'm not doing this by myself. I am joined, as always, every single week by horticulture educator Ken Johnson in Jacksonville. Hey, Ken.
Hello, Chris. So we're discussing before we started, this is our most expensive podcast ever.
That's right. Yes. We spare no expense on these podcasts, just as John Hammond did with Jurassic Park. But we're talking about plants, not dinosaurs. So not as exciting probably for most people.
Probably not, but it's all right. It's the
That's
next
right.
best thing.
That's right. Next best thing. Dinosaurs ate plants. So, and we went on this trek, and we went to go see poinsettias, a trial of poinsettias. Now, this is not like the Salem witch trial. This is kind of taking different breeders, and these breeders they pretty much line up their poinsettias, and they have brokers and buyers come through to say, this is what we like, this is what we want to see more of next year. And then those breeders work towards fulfilling those desires, those wants of the buyers from different places. And so, yeah, it was quite an event, Ken. Do you have any initial feelings as you walked into the poinsettia trial?
I was just amazed at how many different types there are. Like
Mm-hmm.
not only the number of colors, but just like the number of types of reds was almost mind-boggling. Like a red poinsettia is a red poinsettia until you see how many think there were there. 50 different types, if not more than that.
Probably more. So I went ahead and I counted the different ones. There's more than 200 types of poinsettias: red, white, marbled, all the different colors. So more than 200 types were showcased here. There's a few that aren't in the pamphlet that they gave us. There's one breeder who came in from Europe. We'll talk about them. But so yes, more than 200 types. And when most people think poinsettia, they think you get a red one, you get a white one, two, but way more than that. And so we hope to showcase what we saw in some of the differences, and maybe I don't know about my market where I'm at here, Ken, if I'm going to see some of these, but if some people are listening from maybe more um, maybe high profile plant based markets, where people have money to spend on indoor plants, because that's really what this is indoor plants. You might see some of these more interesting, and what they call them, they're novel type poinsettias. And so I love to see more of these in stores, though. It goes far beyond the regular red poinsettia.
Yes, very far
Mhm.
beyond. Some of them don't even look like poinsettias, however you want to say it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess maybe we should probably recap a little bit about this particular plant. So we can leave a link below to the show that we did last year about this, where we really dive deep into the different aspects of this, growing this plant, kind of its history, its origin, the unfortunate namesake that it has, the person who, quote unquote, discovered it, although everyone from the ancient Aztecs, into several other groups of indigenous peoples used and knew about this plant before Joel Poinsett, quote, discovered it. And he was not a very nice man. So, but native to Mexico, Central America, Joel Poinsett went down there kind of representing the United States. Mexico, once they found out he was trying to uh, sort of overthrow their government, really seat a pro-American Mexican leadership, kicked Joel out of the country. But he brought the poinsettia up to North America, and they named it after him, and the name kept, for better or worse. Really, I wish we had maybe would have kept that more indigenous name that it had, which in my brain I see the pronunciation Quetzalcoatl,
Quite less show she.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah.
And that is what is that? That's the Aztec name. And last year we didn't have this, but I found the Mayan name. So the Aztec name means brilliant flower. The Mayan name, let me find my pronunciation here so I don't butcher it too bad. Kaolowitz, Kaolowitz. Yeah, that's the Mayan, and that means ember flower.
Mm. And it really gained popularity because from the Christian religions settlers that came over from Europe saw this blooming in December, the time around Christmas, and so this really become a holiday plant that is marketed worldwide, and I think it is the number one selling plant in the world. We spend more money on a poinsettia, I think. Um, we grow a lot of them.
If
They're
not,
grown all over the world.
if not, it's up there. And in North America, or at least in the United States, it's if not the top, one of the top
Yeah.
houseplants.
Mhm. Yeah. And people, they buy them, they have them for Christmas for a little while or holidays, and then very often we'll just throw them away and or compost them. Let's compost them instead. But and then you go back next year and do it all again. Um, and I'm sure there's probably people who can make comments about the wastefulness of something like that. Um, but as we saw at this trial, it is a massive market. Um, I would assume, uh, be careful with this, but I would assume billions of dollars are spent on this plant every year.
Yes, if not hundreds of millions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's lots and lots of money being
Yes.
spent on them.
Yep.
So,
All right.
talk
Should
about
we
what we
keep
saw. Or
Yeah,
you
should
want
we?
to
Yeah, I
recap?
guess we should. I have no more recap.
Okay.
I'm
So
out of
well,
recap.
I'll say they're kind of greenhouse grown. So at the trial they had these all laid out in blocks. So it's very colorful. We can throw a picture of what it looked like. And each block had a sign on it with the cultivar variety name, the breeder, and then it had a letter and then a number. So the letter was whether it was a compact, moderate
Or
type growth,
vigorous.
or how
Hmm.
yeah. And then the numbers was days until market. So basically that's how long you would have to do the kind of the long night treatment for them to be fully
Hmm.
colored up and ready to go to market. So typically that's usually you're doing like 14 hours of darkness, complete darkness to get them to bloom, get those bracts to color up, and then send them off to market. So they were anywhere usually between 8 and 11 weeks, maybe some a little shorter than that,
Yeah.
depending on the type. So and then depending on where you grow them, you may be using and when you want them to hit the market, you may be using shade cloth or covering them to do that. Maybe natural day length, maybe shorten enough for you to be able to do that. So, at the kind of the commercial level, there's a lot that goes into it, and then the more compact stuff, you're not having to use as many growth regulators uh, and stuff to keep them nice and compact. If you want that for your market and stuff, so
Hmm.
there's a lot that goes into it other than stick them in the ground, the cuttings and grow
Just
them. So
make it dark for 14 hours and boom, you got it. Yeah, no,
yeah,
there's a lot more. I did not realize that they had poinsettias for early holiday season, mid holiday season, and late holiday season. That number that Ken mentioned, that the length of time it takes for those bracts to fully color, those are all intentional. So when stores, whether Christmas is coming earlier every single year, it seems like. So, when do they want to put those out in the stores? Yeah, that shorter number means it takes fewer weeks for those bracts to color up. Those would be the first ones to hit the shelves. And then, midway through those middle of the season, and then the longer ones, those in season. So, um, the, lots went into this particular plant, as we've found out.
yeah. We were talking to one of the people in that comment. I didn't realize there's so many reds. And, it's kind of mind boggling. She's like, yeah, you've got, like you said, to hit those different um, time frames, and then just the varying vigor of them and
Mhm.
different leaf shapes. And yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ken, should we start sharing some of our photos, some of our pics, some of our things that we might want to showcase or talk about with our Poinsettia Trial Tour?
Let's do that. So start with a traditional red poinsettia, and then we'll
I'd say so.
descend into the unique ones.
Madness. Yes, as Werner Herzog would say, descend into madness.
All right. So one that I picked for the reds is Kayla Red. And this one's kind of got a unique leaf shape. So I should have mentioned this earlier. We're going to be heavy on pictures today. So may want to, if you're listening, may want to hop onto YouTube. We'll do our best to remember to describe everything really well. But speaking for myself, I'm not very good at that sometimes. So Kayla Red, this is traditional red one, but this one's kind of got the unique leaf shape. It's got the points projections on them. Kind of looks almost like an oak leaf a little bit. So that's why I picked this one. It's not your traditional kind of pyramid shaped leaf. You've got some of those points sticking out, just kind of that unique leaf shape. Again, your traditional nice bright red color on it.
And some of these, the breeders actually spotlighted, and I took notes on them as they were speaking about these, and they did mention Kayla Red. And this is by Beacon Camp Breeders, and they noted that the darker red, but then also there's a very dark green leaf underneath of it. And so this is sort of these deeper colors, and that's what the breeders really trying to market here. And so since I took notes, Ken, I'll try to interject where I can what the breeders have talked about with some of these, but I don't have notes for all of them. And we actually missed the presentation of the first breeder there, Doom and Orange, but we'll talk more about some of their plants as well.
Yes. Chris was the good student and took notes. I didn't.
Well, I don't have good handwriting, so we'll try. All right. This next one took me by surprise. It's red, but the shape of the bracts is not like any poinsettia that I've ever really seen. And they called this type a rose type poinsettia because it has a much tighter, kind of rounded top to it, a rounded just sort of structure to the bracts, which are the colorful leaves around surrounding that flower. And so this one is called Roccostar Red, and this comes from the breeder. Let's see, how do you say their name? Lazarii,
Lazary.
Lazarii.
Lazary.
And this is one that they also highlighted during their presentation as a very unique shape to this particular plant. It's just like nothing I have seen before in a store before. And they have Roccostar Red. They also have a white as well version of this. So, and a pink. So I just found this one very interesting because the structure of the bracts itself is different. And in this photograph here, where we have Roccostar Red in and amongst maybe more traditional shaped bracts or leaves of these poinsettias, as you can see, it's more kind of columnar, more compact, and still puts on a pretty neat show. I like it.
Yeah, and Chris Luking, another word educator, was there, and she was talking about listening a lot for the kind of the cut flower market bouquets, like Christmas wedding or something like that, using this for that market.
Well, Ken, this next red one really struck my eye. I don't know if you had noticed this one really popped like others. This one is Gloria Red. And there's just something about the colors here just popped out to me. I really thought this was the colors were not so bright or vibrant, I don't think, but it was just this deepness or this depth to the colors of Gloria Red.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. If there's anything else I remember about that one or not?
Let me see if there's.
They all they all blend together after a while.
Yes, they are. And the one thing problem that we had, so we started the day there at 8 a.m. and we finish up around 1 p.m. Yeah, you start seeing your eyes start to cross after seeing so many poinsettias. Gloria Red is another one that this breeder Lazarii spot highlighted during their talk as a good performer. I didn't have any notes, but I have a star by it that indicating that they had talked about it. And then this particular red poinsettia might be one of my favorites. And this is where people can or companies can win you over with a name. The name, and this is a series, so they have many different types of poinsettias with this series of names, but the name is Q-ismas, like, and it's pronounced like, you know, a young child um trying to say Christmas maybe with like a lisp or something. It's spelled Q-ismas, so Q-ismas. And this is called Q-ismas Bond, and it's a red poinsettia, and this is by graft breeding, and graft breeding was not in our booklet. It was kind of a newer breeder on the scene here for North America. These are more out of Europe. Now, the interesting thing that we learned about poinsettias in Europe is that they're really bred to be more compact, to be much smaller, more tight structure of plants, and so all of the Q-ismas series were much smaller or shorter in stature. And I really like this because I don't. Ken, have you ever had a poinsettia as a centerpiece on a table and you're like trying to look over it and around it, trying to talk to somebody on the other side of the table?
Yeah, yeah. At times they can be, depending on the situation, yeah, too big. Sometimes
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot. At least when I'm going out and buying them, they're more the more compact, smaller type plants.
Yeah, I really like these. I think that the coloration was very nice. I just like the compact structure of the plant itself. And then yeah, I had a very close up here, just really dark, almost black looking leaves here. And then this deep red color of the bracts. So I really liked the Q-ismas Bond red poinsettia. I guess we should probably add we got every attendee got 3 votes. So they gave us 3 red flags, and we got to put our flag into, you know, our favorites from the day. And I think this is one of the ones that I voted for. Actually, I know this is one of the ones I voted for.
And that may have been one of the more difficult tasks I've done this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was only picking 3.
What's your favorite poinsettia in a list of 200?
And then our final red that we have here, and again, this is, I don't know, we could probably make this a 3-hour long podcast to talk about all of them.
All reds. Yeah.
just reds, yes. Is Advent Red. Again, a nice red color, kind of dark leaves, but the bracts, they're a little more narrow, looking not quite as wide, just kind of a different, unique look to them. So just, not, they're not all, have these big, broad, wide leaves. They're these narrow types as well. And they kind of stack on top of each other too. It's kind of, the bracts almost look a little more like an actual flower than typical bracts do.
So after red, we get into the marbled types of poinsettias. And these are ones that I knew they were around. I had seen a few of these maybe when I travel somewhere else, um, but these aren't typically what you'd find at the school fundraiser. You know, these are definitely eye-catching poinsettias, multiple colors, and not only multiple colors of necessarily the bracts, but also there is some variegation of the foliage too as well. So um, I know, Ken, you have quite a few of these. Um, dare I say, were these some of your favorites? You seem to really have a lot of pictures of these ones.
Yes. I think I took pictures of every single plant there. And well, I mean, I've not gotten through editing all of them, but at least the marbled ones I've gotten through, I think I added all of them to our list. So
Mhm.
can, can tell where my mind is at for
Yeah.
at least as of
And
today.
the one thing we didn't mention, and Ken and I wanted to make sure that we said this, is that taking photographs in a greenhouse does not necessarily give you the true colors of that particular plant. You will notice in some of these photos, if you're watching this on YouTube, some of them look a little bit dull or a little bit muted. Some of them look a little bit bright and washed out. that just has to do, it was a cloudy day and then it was a sunny day, but then we're also under greenhouse plastic or glass, and that diffuses the light. It really messes with the coloration. And so, I know Ken has really been trying to like make these a bit more true to what we were seeing, but um, you just have to go there and check it out for yourself. We'll try our best to give you as accurate color representation as we can, at least on our end. I know you might be watching this on a phone or a computer screen, or so it all depends on your screen as well.
Yes, there's lots of time spent in Photoshop adjusting colors.
Hmm.
So the first one we've got here is I got Amarena Early Glitter. So again, red and white. It's kind of speckled, but got larger blotches as well. White blotches on the red bracts here. So again, I get just very showy looking, and even within that variety, just you can see the variation of that. Some of them have more of that spotting of the speckling or stripes in them than others. So others have large blotches. See in this picture, some of them are white leaves with pink as well. So just a lot of variation. I think it just kind of looks that all goes well with each other. It's almost kind of like somebody took a paintbrush and just started flicking white paint all over those bracts. All right, and then the next one we've got here is early elegance glitter. So again, same idea here. We've got these red bracts with this white. I think it's a little more white than the Amarena is, and more. I guess these are larger spots, blotches. Still some speckling in there too, but just a little more. I think this one's a little brighter colored than the previous, but still, I think very attractive looking plant as well. And there are several plants in this early elegance, kind of like a series
Mhm.
for these.
Yeah, a lot of these that we do describe today, if we say like the red version, a lot of times it's part of a series, and there's also other corresponding colors to it. Not every one, but many of the ones that we'll talk about today do have uh, brothers, sisters, cousins in different colors.
All right. Now the next one, I know this is one I voted for favorite plant, and this is Tapestry. So again, we've got those red bracts, and they've got some. If you're looking at the picture, you look closely. Some of them you can see have a little bit of a darker, a little more kind of a maroon center to them. And then as you go down the plant, you get some of the quote unquote kind of the true leaves, kind of green with some red in them, and then further down you've got green with yellowish margins on those leaves. So very, I think very pretty, kind of like a patchwork quilt almost
Mhm.
with the coloring on this one.
This reminds me of like almost like a holly, like a kind of undertone to it all, a variegated type holly, or I don't know. It just really does scream like holiday plant. It just looks like it's made for displaying during December, which it is. That's exactly what it's made
Yes.
for.
Yeah.
But this is has everything. It checks all the boxes.
Yeah. Just, I don't know. My mind is just like, I don't know, reminds me of traditional Christmas. I don't know how or why, but
Hmm.
it does. That subconscious.
Yeah.
The next marbled one we have on the list here is Ice Punch. So again, very bright red, almost pinkish color to it. Again, it's got these, I don't know, fairly a lot of projections coming off the leaves here. So kind of that showy look there. And the center is kind of a white, lighter pink color in there as well. So again, kind of almost like a holly leaf on those. So again, I think very decorative and nice looking for these as well.
Yeah, I like this. It's bright. It pops. People will talk about this. You put this on your, you put this one out, and they'll be like, "Wow, I've never seen like leaf shape like that with your poinsettia." I really like this one too.
All right. And then next, we've got Robyn Marble. So this is another one. Robyn is a series. So they've got marble, red, pink, and white. I think we can show all those real quick. But Robyn Marble is another marbled type. So this one's got kind of yellowish bracts to them, and then the centers of these are pink. So again, not necessarily your traditional looking poinsettia color wise, but again, they're kind of a muted colors, but they're still they're not really bold and bright pink and yellow, a little more muted, but still very attractive, at least in my opinion.
And this one came from Beacon Camp Breeders, and they highlighted this one in their presentation. My notes on this one, they remarked that its two-tone color is one that will keep no matter how hot it gets. And so they mentioned specifically, like people who might be growing this down in the southern U.S., Texas, and Florida. If you do have very hot weather and you have these outside, they will retain this color no matter the heat that it's exposed to. So it seems to be they really seem to highlight the southern part of the U.S. for this one.
And then here you can see all four of those that Robin series, which I think was only four of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they had them all four put together, so you kind of have the whole gamut here with kind of that collection there.
Very cool.
And then our last one is the Princettia Sparkling Rogue
Mm-hmm.
Rouge, however you say that. But again, the Princettia is another series of these, but this one's a little bit of a darker pink color to it. But again, on those bracts and white coloring in there, and the white coloring is a little more intense towards the center of those bracts, towards the tips it's a little more pink. So the centers are kind of more that white speckled blotches on there. And again, if you're looking at the picture, you can see that there's variation within those plants as well.
And this is from the breeder Suntory, and they describe their Princettias as non-traditional types. Um, I don't know quite what that means. The traditional poinsettia has kind of been thrown out the window after attending this event. But what they remark is that the patterns on this is very stable. And so they know that this is going to be very reliable. And again, they're giving these presentations to, big time commercial buyers that will be purchasing vast quantities of these plants. And so they want to make sure that they're relaying the fact that that sometimes it can be a bit variable in how these bracts color up, especially with some of these marbled ones. And they're talking about how these in particular are very stable on their patterns, um, and emphasizing the darker pink color with the flecks of white within, and the lighter pink with also on some of the lower bracts, true leaves. So one of the marbled plants out there that's part of the bigger series, the Freya series, and they spell F-R-E uh,
Why?
F-R-E-Y-A. I believe the Norse goddess Freya, there's a J after the Y. But there's a series. So this one is the marble one of it, and uh, this is by Duman, and I think we mentioned earlier, forgot to take notes during the Duman presentation, but in all of their advertising, they're very proud of this particular series. This is the marbled ones. They have a white Freya series. They have white in their series, red, um, and the marble, and then the pink Freya. So this particular one, it seemed to be pretty uniform throughout this entire one, where you can kind of see a very recognizable pattern going over these bracts. And I do have a picture also, which I can send to Ken on my phone, of all four of these in the series side by side. And that they're, again, Duman is very proud of this particular series. And so, and I found them to all look very incredible. And Freya, it's another one of those, I like the name, is the goddess of love and war in Norse mythology. So yeah, what's not to like about that? And Freya's also rides on a horse, or not. Freya rides on a chariot pulled by cats, not lions, house cats, like cats.
That I did not know.
It's life goals. Train my house cats. Pull me on a chariot.
Yeah, and there were many more marbled ones. I think we'll call it a day for those today.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
next year we'll
many.
get into the rest of them.
Yeah. I'd say before I forget mentioning on the podcast, like if anyone listening or watching, if you encounter some interesting poinsettias, take a peek at that tag and send us the information about that or post it in the comments. We'd always love to know if you're finding any interesting poinsettias or if you even have a favorite out there that we don't mention.
Yeah, I don't think there was a marbled one out there that I did not like.
Yeah, they're all just yeah, it's uncommon, at least in my neck of the woods. So I enjoyed seeing them.
Yeah, maybe that's why. That was the novelty of it.
Yeah, it might have been. We'll get into some of those novelty ones, but for a second, let's talk about the white poinsettia. Now, I did not think about this, but as the different breeders were maybe highlighting or spotlighting some of their different white poinsettias, they were really emphasizing painting the bracts, which I guess is a thing. When we look at certain kind of things you could find. I have seen this at the garden centers before. These alien looking plants, painted bright, glittery blue or gold in color. But that's what they use a lot of these white bracted poinsettias for, is to showcase some of this paint that they would spray onto these plants. But just in of themselves, I did go through and take several photographs of white poinsettias. So these are just a few of them. This is Flurry White. Again, the color on this is not what I was seeing. I think these are a little bit more brighter. However, it was still maybe a bit more yellow in some of the tones on almost all of these white poinsettias. Um, but I was still really I find them very interesting, the white bracts. But then I was looking at polar bear, but then I found what I think to be almost a true white, and that is frozen by Duman. You can see in the side by side comparison on the left we have polar bear. Again, by itself, it would probably look like a bright white. But put that next to Frozen, which was a true, like, absence of color, white. I think Frozen, it was another one that I voted for, was one that, again, maybe if you are a florist and you want to do any painting, it would definitely stand out on those pure white bracts on this one. But I think it stands on its own too. So I think just it's a very bright white. It was the brightest white one that I could find there. I don't know, Ken, if you might have found a different one, but probably my favorite one and another one that I voted for was Frozen. Not because I've seen the movie 5,000 times with my children when they were a bit younger.
Let it go.
That's right. That's what we need to do. We just need to let it go. But yeah, Frozen.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the whitest one. Yeah, going through looking at pictures. I was like, oh, I thought this one was supposed to be white. This is more yellow. And then yeah, you get to this one, and it is very obvious how much whiter it is than pretty much any other of the white cultivars that were there. All right, now let's hop on the crazy train here. Get into the kind of the off. I think they called them novelties. I think we're calling them more off season. Like to me, when I see these, I do not think Christmas. Um, with Christmas, it's the reds, the whites, maybe some of the darker pinks. But with these, in my opinion, anyway, I think they would be better. They're more of a fall, autumn colors. We'll talk about those first, but more fall, more oranges. Then spring colors, you got a lot of really vibrant pinks and other colors as well.
Yeah, these kind of captured me though. They were sort of set aside in the back of the greenhouse and just kind of like, eh. Um, but I took more pictures of this row of poinsettias maybe than all the other ones. I just found them just like you've never seen colors like these before on this particular species. And yeah, I found it quite fascinating. Ken, this first one is autumn leaves. What did I mean? Look at the color. What do you think about when you see this?
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, this would be like Thanksgiving. This would be a poinsettia you'd put out for Thanksgiving.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's sort of a kind of a reddish, pinkish to peach colored, almost like hues of orange. I mean, it looks like fall in a poinsettia. So, and that's how they said these would be marketed, is that they would be marketed as a, you know, get your apple cider, get your apples, get your pumpkins, and now you get your fall poinsettia. Um, and so, they're saying this is another horticultural holiday item that you could have in the pumpkin spice season. So yeah, it looks like it kind of. So this picture here is sort of, I kind of kneeled down and I'm shooting over top of them. It almost looks like fall leaves on top of green grass, with the bracts being the leaves and then the true leaves down below, the green leaves being the grass.
Yeah. I like that shot.
Yeah. Another one here, very similar, is Viking Cinnamon. Um, Again, just it is a similar color palette, maybe a bit more red than um, the autumn leaves. So another, just like, yep, I would definitely pick this up while like shopping for my pumpkin. I feel like these would pair pretty amazing with mums. These two are different textures. Mums have a much more finer texture. These have a much more broader leaf, a much more coarser type texture. So they're opposites, which means they pair well together from a floral design standpoint, at least in my opinion. But kind of you know, one of the many novelty ones that I took a picture of was, so of the Q-ismas series we already talked about. They also have sort of that fall theme, but so this is a much more compact. So you can see on here on this sign that C again stands for compact. 8 weeks to induce flowering, or the coloration of those bracts, and just again, just a very, I don't know, it just kind of screams fall to me. And so uh, I just really liked the this particular series, the Q-ismas series. I just like to say it. So
All right. Yeah. One more, I guess, our fall ones. And this is Orange Glow. You see, I don't know if it's quite this orange, but this is even after turning down saturation and vibrance in the picture. So, but a very orange here, maybe a little more even getting into Halloween here. Get your orange poinsettia instead of a pumpkin, or to go along with it. And again, very, very vibrant orange color on here. And there are a few other orange ones. Can't think of what the cultivars were, but there's at least one other orange cultivar there as well. So there's more than just Orange Glow. Norwin Orange was another orange cultivar. They're kind of similar look to it as well. Maybe leaves a little bit more broad, but kind of similar coloration to the Orange Glow.
and sticking with the novelty. So we talked about extending our poinsettia season into the fall, but what about springtime? Well, guess what? They have types for that. They're working on more of that. So Ken, I think this particular one for the spring season, as we and pull poinsettias out of the winter time, from fall and now into spring, this one, it didn't even look like a poinsettia at first. I mean, it just almost knocked me over when I saw it. This is called Luv U Pink. It's like a hot pink color, and the leaves, or the bracts, are just structured like a flower. It looks like a big flower, almost like a hydrangea flower. I mean, it just looks massive,
Yeah, or
and the
or
shape.
dahlia, kind of
Yeah,
a dahlia like
dahlia.
too.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. This, like you said, this is when I saw that. If I wouldn't have been at a poinsettia trial, I never would have guessed.
Hmm.
Maybe eventually, but that would not be the first thing that came
Yeah.
to mind.
Yeah. Uh, the closed flower buds in the middle are this like bright green, which contrasts with these hot pink petals. And is it my eyes? Do you see the white fringe? Like, do you see a like kind of a faint white line on the margin of these bracts?
Yeah, a little bit. Let's see if the picture I took has that. Yeah, the pictures I have of it, yeah, have that white. Which I don't know if I noticed that when we were there.
Well, yeah, I'm. It really only seems to stand out maybe more in these photographs. Now, in this image here, I kind of get the underside of one of those bracts, and you can see it's a much lighter color, and so maybe that's where that white edge is coming from. But it's really interesting because each bract has this little outline on the outside, which I when I'm like coloring with crayons with my kids or something, like a really good way to get something to pop is you outline it with some contrasting color. And yeah, I this one was a favorite for me, and it springs, it screams spring.
Yeah, and I think pretty sure I voted for this one. Yeah, and I don't, I've never seen this in stores. I don't know how widely commercially available it is and when it's being sold. I'm not sure how popular it would be at Christmas time, but I think, if you could figure out a way to grow that and disperse it in the spring, I think that could be a popular one.
Mhm.
All right, we'll stick with the pink theme here. Here is enduring pink, so not nearly as vibrant. A little more, again, muted colors, maybe a little darker. The newer ones in the middle, a little bit darker pink. Older ones or bigger ones are a little bit lighter pink. So you got kind of a couple different colors of pink here. But again, some of these they've got a little more of the frilly leaves to them, I guess, lack of a better term, or I don't know the technical term for that. So some unique leaf shape in there as well. But again, that nice pink color. I think maybe this one you could probably get away with selling at Christmas time, but because it's got a little bit of that darker pink in there, but it's still, I think, a little more springy feel to it than your traditional poinsettia.
Yeah, definitely feels tropical when you look at this one. It could definitely work maybe outside the holiday season.
Right, and then another one here. These is Mars pink. So again, very similar looking. You've got the lighter pink, and then some darker pink bracts on there as well. Again, they just kind of blend well. You've got all those different colors in there. Yeah, you can see here, and kind of the lower bracts a little bit lighter, and then as you kind of go up and towards the center, they get darker. So
Mm.
again, nice and pretty. And the veins are a little bit darker pink on the lighter ones, so those pop out pretty nicely as well.
This is maybe this one. And I know when we were there, we commented that if we didn't know better, we would think some of these were sick. There's some kind of
Mhm.
nutrient deficiency on some of them. Um, yeah, just the paler bracts, and there's a few darker ones, and then you can see the veins pretty distinctly here. Yeah, if someone brought this into the office, I'd say, "Ooh, you have a sick red poinsettia." It's not getting something, or it's getting too much of something. But no, this is supposed to be like this. It's very it goes against some of the plant diagnosis we've gone through in our lives.
Yeah, this one and like a lot of the white ones too. Some of
Mhm.
them looked a little sickly.
Yes, and we
And then
looked. We couldn't find any white flies or anything on there. So
to our to our disappointment. But they did a good job of, well, I'd say probably cleaning them up.
yes, yeah.
I'm sure they had problems.
Mhm. They nuked them before they showed them to us.
Another pink one here. So this is Princettia Queen Shell Pink. So again, the Princettia line. There's quite a few cultivars. This one is a little more pinky pink, like I don't know, bubblegum pink, maybe. But these have the bracts are a little more ruffled looking. So again, it's just that a different texture, especially from your normal, quote unquote, normal leaves. The bracts are a little more ruffly looking here, kind of wavy margins on them and stuff. So again, just a different color, different leaf texture stuff. And the leaves are still kind of stacked a little bit as well, kind of
Mhm.
makes them look even more frilly.
Did you edit this one?
Um, a little bit, not,
Let me
not too much.
let me share mine real quick. It looks totally different. The color looks different, right? It's like brighter. This is the Princettia. This just goes to show like the taking pictures in a greenhouse just really messes with cameras. They can't really capture. I don't, and I can't remember which one is more true. Like whose picture would be more true. I would have no idea. I would have to go back and look, and I can't.
Yeah, I did white balance on mine.
I did not do anything to mine, so I'm guessing
Maybe a little
yours are
blue.
probably a bit more accurate because mine are. It's a little bit washed out when you see the white sign there. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. You showed that, and I'm like, mine's like lighter pink.
I think we got two more here.
Ah, yes.
So we're gonna leave the pink and go to yellow. So here's golden glow again, assuming relative of orange glow or kind of that glow series. We'll call it. Again, very nice, vibrant yellow colors to these. It almost looks like a little bit like a sunflower there
Yeah.
with the true flowers open in the middle there. So again, just a different color. Again, I don't know how many people would buy this in the Christmas season. I mean, if I saw it, I would just because it's cool. But
Yeah. This does feel more springtime. It could probably even go for fall as well. Um, I could see this being like look really neat next to some goldenrod or aster or something like that in the fall. But this is just yeah, you don't see many bright yellow poinsettias around December in people's homes. People, but we still have maybe that traditional impulse for those red and sometimes white ones. So, but I definitely like this one.
the last one we had picked out was Green Envy. So this is a kind of a yellowish green poinsettia for the bracts. So and this is one that maybe if you didn't know any better, may look a little sickly,
Mhm.
little more yellow green, a little more towards the yellow than the green on there. But again, just to show there's another color that's out there somewhere.
Yeah, it almost the bracts. Some of them were turning a little bit whitish, and so you're like, "Ooh, is this going to turn white?" But no, it's this yellowy green color.
And the Q-ismas, there was it Mojito?
Oh
That
yes.
was more of a green, light green.
Hmm.
Um, so that one, I don't know if I've got that picture. So here is Mojito here. I don't remember what was next to it, but you can see it's smaller. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that backpack and the water bottle in the
Hmm.
background there. So again, not. I mean, these plants are not much taller than a water bottle. Those 16-ounce water bottles nowadays
Yeah.
shrunk from 20.
Hmm.
But again, this one's a little more green to it than that green envy. And then when we were talking to the guy that from this company, he was talking about a little bit of their some marketing strategy. Maybe what they were recommending is if you've got something like this, the mojito, put that in the alcohol section. So when people are buying their stuff for the mojitos, here's your mojito poinsettia to go along with it, and kind of disperse these smaller ones throughout the store on shelving. So when people are going through a little bit more of that impulse buy because they're just sitting out in the store, available
Hmm.
in different places and stuff.
It just if you have those compact plants, name it after food or drinks. It's a great marketing way to get your stuff in the stores.
So here, you got two more I'll share here.
Okay.
So we were talking about white poinsettias. Here's another painted one that was
Oh.
I've never painted like so again if you're not watching um and the kind of behind this one you've got gold, nice sparkly gold ones. This other one is kind of a tie-dye. You've got blue and green and orange and red and yellow. Very decorative look.
Very watercolory
Yes.
in appearance.
But another cool thing there, I had these almost like trees, poinsettia trees here. So you have the stalk, bare stalk, and then the poinsettia on top of it. And I don't know how they grew this, if this was grafted on there. If this was a older plant that they let grow up, remove the top, grafted something on there where they let it grow up and then remove the bottom branches, and then pinched to get it nice and bushy. But I don't know, just a poinsettia I'd never seen them for sale like that before. Just another interesting, kind of like the like a topiary,
Mhm.
almost.
I noticed they did have to be staked, probably because they're so top heavy. I do. I would suspect you had branching all down the along the length of that main stem. They probably just pop those off. Um, when I zoom into my picture of them, I see leaf scars all along there. Because they don't look terribly fresh, so they look like they've definitely calloused over. Um, yeah, so if you can grow your poinsettia out for a longer time, you could definitely get taller, bigger ones. They are perennial, a shrub. I would call that in their native range down to Mexico. So yeah, and I have had my poinsettia. I've had it survive through the winter. I planted it outside. They can get very big. They get quite large out during the summer months.
There you go. That's your goal for next year. Topiary.
Yes. Then I'll pluck up all the leaves on the lower, and the people be like, "What in the world is that plant?" Is that it?
That's everything on the list anyway.
Well, that was a lot of information about poinsettias. You're probably sick and tired of hearing about them now, but don't be so sick and tired that you don't go out and maybe buy one or two and support the industry. It was really a very just educational experience going there, learning about poinsettias, and the production of them, all the work and the effort, the breeding, the thought, the money it goes behind this one species of plant um, that originated in Mexico and is just grown out and now used to celebrate the holiday season all over the world. Well, the Good Growing Podcast is a production of University of Illinois Extension, edited this week by Ken Johnson. Hey, Ken, thank you for traveling with me down to where were we? Columbia and Illinois, where we stayed, and then Millstat, where we went to this the Poinsettia Trial. So we had a good time.
I guess we never mentioned the name. It's the NG Heimos greenhouse. So this is about the 17th year they did it. So down in Millstat.
Yep.
It's a good time.
Good time. Enjoy it. And just I think it was free to register. Again, this is really more geared towards brokers and buyers. I saw people with like Schnucks and Costco, people buying for large retail chains out there. Are there. That's who they're catering to. So, plant nerds like us, they're just like, yeah, you guys go take your pictures and we'll answer your questions if you got any.
I do think they had an open house for the general public later in the week. So,
yeah,
if people are interested, look for that.
Yep. And you can definitely learn a lot about this particular industry.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for letting me talk you into that. And we'll go next year too and take better notes.
Yes.
And let's do this again next week.
Oh, we shall do this again next week. It will likely be a garden bite because it's just getting darker and darker. The solstice is coming up. You know me, I'm going to go out and dance around a fire and celebrate the longest night of the year. But listeners, thank you for doing what you do best, and that is listening. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, watching. And as always, keep on growing. All right, let's kick this puppy off. I'm already recording, so you'll have a fair chunk to cut out there.
Half hour that takes.
It's a long podcast. Nope, not really.